Do you have a specific turning point, Divya, from your childhood that you can think of or remember that's stood out for you or made a difference in who you are?
I remember that award ceremony, all my friends landed up getting one award or another. And I was there sitting and I saw them go up and come down. And that's when it hit me like,
your mom about integrity and honesty and your dad about being lucky. Were they life lessons that they sat you down and talked to you about it, or was it during when you had conversations or you're doing some work and they subtly put it in?
I think my parents had a very free flow of parenting. There was never like, come, let's talk about emotions. It was never the case. And we didn't have that kind of luxury of time or
She's earned every credential you can think of, and I am going to have to read this. The youngest chairperson of SIRC of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India and FICCI Flow Chennai, CA, CMA, CS, ADIT, DIPIFR, LLB, BCom, MBA, Independent Director, TEDx Speaker, All India Rank ICAI and ICSC and faculty. But behind the accolades is a story of parenting, partnership, community, immense hard work, and so much resilience. In this episode, we go beyond the achievements to meet the woman, the mother, and the daughter that she is. Let's go and meet Divya Abhishekkumar. This is Vinodini.
And I'm Kavita
For Kupshup.
Keeping Up with Parenting.
So, Divya, I think the first question we had is, who told you you could have it all?
I mean, I think it's really a product of my upbringing and where I am today. I thankfully had the privilege and luxury of being born to a very nurturing family where the sky was really the limit. So we were not pushed in any form. We were not told that, you need to do this. So that really nurtured your own growth journey. So nobody really told me you can have it all. But I think the world also gives you the platter to say the sky is really the limit on the kind of impact that you can make. So, yeah.
I think that's fabulous. So, we're going to talk a little about who raised the girl who became Divya Abhishek. Every remarkable woman starts as a little girl. Who saw your potential first and who watered it?
So what was your childhood like? And were you a curious child, a studious child, a dreamer, a backbencher?
So I had a normal and a happy childhood, parents, and I have a sister who also doubles up as my best friend till date. It was fairly a regular childhood. I went to a CBSE school. You're told to study, you study. To your question, if I was studious or curious, I think I was always curious to understand different things. But if I were to go back and see what stood out all the while, I really enjoyed taking responsibility and leading things from very, very early on. I was not necessarily studious, but when I found what I loved doing in school, which I will tell you as a turning point also, I became very studious. And I used to take tuitions. I used to enjoy sharing that journey along and not just benefiting myself. Sounds cliche, but that was just my childhood and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, nice. Lovely. Okay, what kind of values were instilled in you when you were very young and at home?
Several values. We were grounded as kids. We were always told that less is more. Be content with what you have. And at that point, my parents were working parents. They worked very hard. So it was not that we had so many things, but I always remember never feeling lesser, never feeling like I didn't have more than what I should have. And I believe that was such a strong, fundamental, thing that my parents instilled in me, which I carry till date. Otherwise, there were several values. If I were to take the three key values, it would be hard work, it could be kindness, most important of all, integrity. My mom strongly said that you should always speak the truth to yourself first. Doesn't matter what you say, but be honest, and then automatically, you will grow with integrity. And I think that stuck with me.
Nice to hear that. And were your parents ambitious on your behalf? Did they push you, or did that come from within you? Was it very intrinsic?
So I think my parents were never ambitious. Like I said, there was never a moment where they said, you should do this, you should become this. But of course, like any other family, academics was important. So you can't come home failing a test. I knew that, that would have repercussions. So they were never ambitious on my behalf. They said, do what you can. But what really worked, and I still go back to, is they always celebrated the small moments. Those moments needn't necessarily be like 100 on 100. Like if you, just get an 80, like people were happy, they'd celebrate you. So you always felt okay, when you do something good or better, there is some celebration. So it was a very positive reinforcement that kept coming along.
Lovely. So, based of everything that you just said right now, right? What made you decide that, hey, this is what I'm going to pursue? This is what, or this is the person that I'm going to be, and pursue all of this that you have. What happened in your childhood that you feel made you do this?
That's a great question. My parents, my father is a chartered accountant, my aunt is a CA, my mom is also from the finance background. I grew up watching my father work very hard because he started off on his own, and I literally saw him build his life up and how much he worked. And that was extremely motivating for me. My mom also had a stable job, which still needed her to be in office from 9 to 7, come back, cook for us, teach us, get back to it. I think when I saw watching them do that, I realized there's absolutely no shortcut in life or in the journey. I won't say success because success is so relative.
It is.
But I realized if you put in and day out and show up for things that you want to believe that you will become or want to become, it will come your way. And I distinctly remember my father always saying, no one is lucky. Luck doesn't find you. But if you keep showing up, giving it your 100%, somewhere it will happen. And I think that stays good till date.
And these pointers that your parents were giving you, your mom about integrity and honesty, and your dad about being lucky, were they like, life lessons that they sat you down and talked to you about it? Or was it during when you had conversations or you're doing some work and they subtly put it in?
I think my parents had a very free flow of parenting. There was never like, come, let's talk about emotions. It was never the case. And we didn't have that kind of luxury of time or, facility to do that and say, let's take a 10-day retreat and speak. It was all along the way. There were moments when I would slip down, when I'd feel that, but I remember they showed up despite their work, despite their commitments, financial issues, whatever it is, ups or downs, they were there when it mattered, and they were there to sort of talk you through it in their own style and way.
How lovely. And I think that makes such an important pointer, right? Just showing up is, half the work done when it comes to parenting, especially in today's day and age when we're all so busy, when we're having things pulled at us, like pulled from us in 10 different directions. Just showing up makes a huge difference for our child. Do you have a specific turning point, Divya, from your childhood that you can think of or remember that's stood out for you or made a difference in who you are?
So I did, and I think it really, stood there for me as a turning point. So after 10th, before we start 11th, after your boards and everything, there's this award ceremony that my school has. So I was in a big gang of girls. I was more fun-loving. I would just make it, I would not be so studious to always be the top ranker. Whatever, like I would just pass enough to sail by. And I remember that award ceremony, all my friends landed up getting one award or another. And I was there sitting and I saw them go up and come down. And that's when it hit me like, I never got to go up. I never gave it my 110% or gave myself the chance to even be worthy of getting an award. And I believe that was the biggest moment in my life where I shifted from just being an average Joe or someone who just was casual about things to someone who really wanted to make something out of herself. And also coincidentally, 11th, I picked accounts and commerce. And I've always loved numbers. So those subjects just called out to me, and I think it brought out the best in me. Yeah.
How wonderful. How wonderful. I think that's where that drive started.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
drive to
Absolutely.
excel in what you do.
Yeah.
And is that because you saw your parents do it so much that you wanted it, or
I wanted to be a CA from my sixth standard, but that had no logic driven to it, except for the fact that I wanted to be like my dad. I was very enamored with what he did and how he progressed in life. So I just wanted to do CA. But when I took on those subjects and realized how much I loved accounts or numbers, it really drove me to, see the best in myself, I guess. Yeah.
I think that's fabulous. When you speak of it, Divya, you make your parents' style of parenting, which has been quite successful, frankly, sound very easy, sound like it's very on the flow. And I think that's what we all attempt to, do in our lives. So we're going to move on to our next segment, which is the present. How do you handle it all? Power, pressure, and the most important P, presence in your child's lives, right? So to lead councils, to address TEDx stages, mentor professionals, and how do you still make time for those bedtime stories? How do you wear so many hats? The most important and toughest one of it being the mom hat. How do you do it?
Um, Let me tell you, I don't think I do it all, to be very honest and candid. I don't think there is any such thing as balance in life. You can never have the same balance. But the mantra that I go by is every single person has 24 hours in a day. How you choose to spend those 24 hours is completely up to you. So I've learned early on that prioritizing, having non negotiables, and knowing how you want to mindfully spend that time makes everything.
Absolutely. Can you talk to us a little about how do you prioritize? Say a given date, could be even be just today. What have you done to prioritize your day, to include your children, your work, or whatever comes first? How do you?
What are your
I
non-negotiables?
think at this point of time in life, every stage is different. Last year, it could have been a position that I was holding, which was important. But now, at this point of time, it's work, kids. That's about it. I don't think I can handle anything else in between, which is why I plan my days ahead. If I have other commitments that doesn't relate to my work or my children, I sort of schedule it or say no to it. If I'm able to manage, I do that. So whether it's social hangouts or play dates or whatever else, if I'm able to balance, it's there. Otherwise, it is a negotiable element.
Got it. Fair enough. Has motherhood changed you, Divya? As a person, as a professional, what has it done to you?
I think it gave me purpose. I think I had a very different understanding of motherhood. I thought it will significantly slow me down, set me back. And I honestly feel my husband was a game changer where 2 months after birth, he said, you know what, get up, you can do this. And he pushed me to start figuring out what I wanted to do because I was very restless and I was so used to being occupied. I think it gave me so much purpose and it made me see beyond myself.
You said you thought you will lose it all when you became a mother, that you will not be able to do it, right? But then you saw your mother doing it. So, in spite of that, you had that doubt in you.
I did. I did. I think it's a notion that you have. You see a lot of people who got. I initially had it when I got married, thinking, oh, but then I realized my husband and I, we land up writing exams together. We studied together. So education didn't stop there, which I used to really worry about. But after a child, I thought my timelines on how much work I could do would change, but it never did. Then you realize it's all in the mind. It's all what you can do with those 24 hours in your hand.
And I think with the first child, getting back on the ground is a lot easier. What happened after the second child? How did you
For me, it
manage?
was the other way around. After the first child, I took 4 months to get back to work. I was a first time mom. I was literally listening to every single neighbor, auntie, mommy visiting me, giving me the advice and, trying to feed, being miserable at it. I got back to work in 7 days after my second kid.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
because my
Oh,
work didn't allow me to take maternity. I mean, I didn't allow myself to take that leave because there were a lot of things that I was doing at that point that needed attention too. So I really did get back to work in a week. I was fortunate to have support of a, nurse to be there for my mother to step in for my husband, for everybody else to be
right.
there. But I
So
did
it
get
does
back.
take that village.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Lovely. So let's talk about mom's guilt a little bit. I think everybody who's a mother, it comes along. The minute you become a mother, the guilt is sort of brought in. How do you deal with mother's guilt? Do you have it?
I have it right now and I'm sitting here. I'm taking time off work. I prefer to be there for my kids, at least for their class. But I think I've learned to accept it. I've learned that it's part of my everyday. You are always going to feel it. And I realized the days where I tried to succumb to it and, let off some work, go be with my kids, I was restless about if things were getting done. So now I've realized, like, you prioritize, you have your day, you're guilty, accept it, and know that you're doing this, you're creating or nurturing a nest for your children that they will appreciate it later on.
What are the kind of boundaries or values that help you protect your time and energy? I mean, you've said you will say no to things, but apart from that, what do you do?
I think, to tell you the truth, saying no and prioritizing and being very clear about your priorities. The minute you start having FOMO, you start second guessing, then it defeats the purpose of having it. So I've always stuck to that, and I think it pretty much sets everything else right, because you are clear with what you can and cannot do. And for the things that you cannot do, I've learned to acknowledge it to myself first, and then to also say it to my family, say, please help me or handhold me in this, because I'm not able to handle it all.
But do you get your me time then?
I don't, but now I've carved it out in the mornings where I ensure I get 1 hour to work out. That's the me time that I do get, and I'm very grateful to have it, because I realized when life catches up and when you're just always in on the go, you sort of discount your me time, and it really has an impact on my mental health. So now I've realized I need that 1 hour for myself. I will wake up early on to get that 1 hour before the day starts.
So when does your day start in the morning and when does it end?
It starts at 5:30 to 6. 6 to 7, like I said, I work out. Then I get my kids ready. My husband and I, we do that together. So every single day we get them ready, we send them to school. I get to office right after my children go to school. I work till about 6:37. I ensure I'm there for my kids for their bedtime, no matter what. And somewhere I read that, if it's not that your children need you around all the time, but if you tell them something and if you're able to consistently keep up with it, that security is very significant for them. And hence, every single day, no matter what, even if I travel, I come back for their bedtime, put them to bed, and then I get back to work. So I work till about 11, 10 or 11, and I get to sleep. Yeah.
No, I think that is very true. Parenting need not be a full-time job. Somewhere along the way, we all, decided to take that upon us, especially the mothers, that parenting means being present 24/7. It's just being mentally present when you are physically present as well.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with
Quality over quantity is
Yeah.
what is described. But then again, 24 hours, to me, it seems like you would need more than 24 hours to do what you're doing. But you just made it so simple, saying you just wake up around 5:30 or 6 and you end the day by 11. I was assuming you will say 4 in the morning or 12 in the night.
Not really. And honestly, I've been trying to cut down to say 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I've realized with time, for the last 2 years, I haven't had so much sleep, and I realize how important sleep is and the quality of sleep. So I'm really trying to have regular 8 hours sleep and figuring the day with the balance hours in hand.
How about Netflix, Instagram, shopping,
Um,
hanging out with friends?
so I do hang out with friends, and I think once in 2 weeks or so. They're also busy. Everyone has parental or work or whatever it is. So it is what it is. Instagram, yes, on and off. My husband and I, we do this thing where we delete Instagram between Monday to Friday, and we download it on Saturday, Sunday. Otherwise, it's so mindless, right?
Mhm.
And I'm also, with kids, sometimes you tend to use your phone. Netflix, yes, of course. When I eat or lunch break, sometime I do watch 20 to 30 minutes of it. Yeah.
So it looks like she does have it all.
Yeah.
Not really.
Behind every thriving woman is a quiet army, a partner who believes in you, a friend who shows up, a parent or two who pick up, a nanny who stays late. Let's talk about your village. What does your support system look like today, practically and emotionally?
So everything is possible. If I'm sitting here, it's because I have somebody else taking care of the children. I'm fortunate to have both sets of grandparents, my in-laws as well as my parents in Chennai. So they pick up a lot of slack on the kids. It definitely is all hands on the deck, and it really takes a village to raise the children. Yeah.
Tell us about your partner a little bit. How do you two share parenting and professional goals, considering you're in the same profession as well?
So both of us are professionals, and both of us hold public posts. So it's very uncertain in terms of our routines and schedules. But we communicate early on. We have a clear understanding of who's doing what. It's very fluid. Some days I'm at 70, he's at 20, some days he's at 60 and I'm at 40. But we have very clear conversations about it, and we try our best to spend as much time as with kids as possible. Yeah.
So does he take up household chores, or do you have some full-time maid who does it for you that you don't have to enter or share the household responsibilities?
So yeah, we do have a maid who helps us, but I think we pick up anything that needs to be done. There's no defined rules of I can only do this, you can only do this. So he cooks sometimes on Sundays. He's a really good chef. I clean. So we have a nice understanding and just the way we live together. Yeah.
Lovely. And not as an inspiration or anything like that, right? But say if you had a friend who wanted to do it all, right? Who feel the constant need to do it all. I want to work, I want to take care of my baby. What would you say to them, Divya?
I would say prioritize. At some times you might need to be there for your baby though more than you need to be at work. In my case, it's my own firm, so there's only so much that I could let go and stay back, which is why I got back to work earlier. But if I was employed somewhere and that employment gives me 6 months, I would take the 6 months and nurture the child, nurture myself, get back to it, and then get to work. So I think life in itself is a marathon. We often think it's a sprint because somebody else is running faster, but after the 100-meter, you have to still cover the rest of it. So, there's no rush, there's no need for you to compare yourself, especially the digital era. There's so much information, there's so much comparison, but I think everybody has a purpose, has a life to live. So, I would tell that friend, understand your purpose in this world, understand what gives you joy, and stick with it. It does not matter if you do it at 20, 30, 40, or 50. Just know that you will have time to do it all. There's no need to sit today and say, I want to do it. How do I do it? There's no rule book to it. It's each situation. What's important is you need to buy peace within yourself at the stage at which you are in life and know that you can get there.
So, given that you have this village around you to take care of, your babies and your mental well-being to a certain extent because of that, do you think the conversation around our village or our support system is that happening enough? Are we talking about the village enough? What are your thoughts on that?
It is a great question, and I don't think we talk about our village enough. I think, parenting, whether it's by the immediate parents or the village, is the most gratifying but also the most under recognized job in the world, and also the hardest one, because you don't know what mood the child is in that day or what issue you're going to grapple with or handle. I'm glad we have this platform here today to talk about it and to also say thank you to that village, because without somebody doing that for you, you really can't go ahead with the right state of mind to achieve or make that impact that you want to have in this world.
Raising children with strength and softness. With so many titles to your name, your greatest legacy might just be the values you leave in your children's hearts. Let's talk about the future you're raising.
What kind of mother do you hope your children remember you as?
I think I want them to remember me as someone who was loving, someone who was always there when it mattered.
Wow, yeah. And how are you consciously shaping your parenting? Because, like we spoke about earlier, parenting is not as free flowing as let us just do what comes to us. Right now, we're thinking so much about it before we do every single thing. How are you consciously um, parenting your children? And is there anything that you want to do differently from the way you were parented?
So I think uh, we are very mindful parents, my husband and I, and we have these conversations very often on how to do it right versus how we think it has to be done. So we read a lot, we take a lot of counsel where we feel we don't know how to handle a certain situation, and we realize more often than not our gut was really wrong on how we would react to something. I think treating your kids with kid gloves, nurturing that, accepting them, giving them the emotional space to confide in you is very, very important to me.
So, how is that different from how you were raised? Are you taking some parenting tips from your mother, or?
I do. I take a lot of tips from my mother and my mother in law, but it was different in the sense that we are more available, more mindful. We have access to resources where you can learn, change, and nurture.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, especially in today's day and age, because having that connection with your child is everything today,
Yeah.
right? So tell me a little bit about what goals or what dreams do you have for your children? You said that there weren't any expectations of you except for doing well in certain things, which are certain non-negotiables. What are your expectations for your children?
I think I want to raise kind children, children who have some purpose with what they want to do, and children who know that there is no shortcut to success except hard work. So, whatever it is that they want to pick up, whether it's for a career, whether it's for living their life, as long as they're able to find joy in those moments and they stick with it consistently, I'm sure they'll be good. Yeah.
Lovely.
Is there any moment in parenting that your mother or your father did that you feel you are repeating now with your children, or something that you've changed because you thought it didn't work well for you?
I think my parents grounded me a lot, and less was more always. That's something I'm really trying to replicate, because today we have Amazon, we have access, we have social media, we have so much
No,
that
absolutely.
sometimes you're just so unmindful about what you get or how you spoil your children, without realizing, thinking it's love, but it might not be. So I'm really, leaning on those and trying to replicate that.
Lovely. And we live in an era of abundance right now, right?
Yes.
So it's everything's available and very instantly as well. So
Yeah.
teaching them that patience is also, I think, quite a task, because everything's like
Yeah.
15 minutes away at the most.
And how has it been so far? Are you able to do it in spite?
Initially, no.
Mhm.
I used to just get a lot of things and, get so many resources. But now, yes, I have been more mindful, and yeah, I have been able to do it.
Oh, good.
Lovely. So before we end, we're going to have a very quick rapid fire round. So it's called Mom Truths. She's going to be asking you the questions. It's going to be very, very quick. So whatever comes to your mind first.
What's the one thing your child says that melts your heart, no matter how tired you are?
When he says he loves me, it comes bolt out of the dark and it really melts my heart.
The
Yeah.
both of them?
Yeah.
Ah, so cute. On a scale of 1 to 10 on mom's watching, how much screen time do your kids actually get?
5. I'd like for it to be 0, but I think practically it's at 5.
Okay. What's one parenting hack your mom uses that you secretly admire but will never admit to her?
Discipline and routine. Yeah.
I think routine's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kids are just wired to routine. I think
Yeah.
that's like huge.
Okay, if your Sunday had a soundtrack, what would be the title of the song?
I think maybe fight song. I feel like my Sundays, I'm so energized. I have the kids and it's a day off and I'm ready to, just start the week.
I'm
Yeah.
going to break that up. Talk to us a little about your Sundays, because it looks like that's your family.
Yeah. So
day.
Sundays just with my kids. I work out in the morning. I wake up still by say 7. But we take the kids out for breakfast and we spend time with them. They choose what they like to do. It could be at home or we could do some cleaning, whatever it is. But till about 3 o'clock, I spend with the kids. Then between 4 to 5, I walk with my husband. Then I get to work at 6. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We work on Sundays because to just prepare for the week.
Nice.
Yeah.
So have you ever felt that your Sunday is not yours at all because you never seem to get much of a time for yourself apart from your workout during the week? For example, if it was a Sunday for me, I'll be like, how late can I get up? Can I escape
understand,
cooking?
yeah.
Can I just take my time and read a book and be by myself? But your Sunday doesn't seem like that.
I don't. I enjoy the fact that I get to spend the day with my kids, which I don't get to otherwise. So far I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, the next one. If your child wrote a job review about you as a parent, what rating would you get and what would the feedback say?
I would think it's a 5, but in reality maybe a 2.5 and it could say please get home, don't be in office and spend
But do
more
they say
time.
that?
Yeah. They do.
The mess you have completely given up trying to fix at home.
So I have this OCD to clean everything. So I don't think I can give up on mess ever.
There
Maybe
isn't
it's
one
still there.
cupboard in your
No, it is.
house?
It could be messy, but I haven't given up on it yet. I'd like to go clean it.
Okay, there is hope.
Yeah, there is hope.
What's the most non-mom thing you've done lately and loved it?
So after 4 years, I think my husband and I went on a trip for 2-3 days, and I loved it.
Oh wow!
I didn't miss the kids at all. My husband did, but I didn't. I said I need this. It was a lot of fun.
That is one of
Yeah.
my goals. It's been a while, so I
Yeah,
really want to
is.
do it.
Is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to do it before, but not anymore. Okay. Parenting mantra that actually works for you, even if it sounds weird.
Prioritizing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only mantra for you.
Yeah.
Would your child say you're a cool mom, strict mom, or fun on Sundays only mom?
Definitely strict mom, but fun on Sundays.
I'm going to ask the last one. Divya, what does your mom think of your parenting?
She says I have a lot of scope for improvement, but she says I'm very mindful as a parent.
Mindful right there for me would be the best parenting acknowledgement you've got.
Yes.
Beyond that, I don't see where you have scope for improvement.
So I think if she were to rate you, what do you think she'll give you?
I think she'll give me 10 out of fear and love, but really I'd find out outside of that.
Realistically, what do you think?
Maybe a 8.
8?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because she does tell me to unwind, to, go around a lot more, which I'm trying to do. But
Okay.
yeah.
Lovely. And I think that's sort of one of the takeaways, right? You can't really have it all. You need to have all the support
Yes.
that you can get, use it, and also carve out that me time to take care of ourselves while in the hustle and bustle of all of this. So closing, thank you so much, Divya, for, taking time out of your
Thank
very
you.
busy schedule to come talk to us today.
And
But I
you've
have
inspired
to
me.
mention here, in fact, I wanted to before I started, I think the work both of you do is just phenomenal. The fact that, 2 weeks ahead, you had it all prepared, sorted, doing it so professionally, it was so impressive. And, you're making such a huge difference for everyone who's listening to these conversations that you don't otherwise get to hear about people. So thank you so much for doing this and great job.
Thank you so much.
And thank you
Thank
for
you.
agreeing to be on
Of
this
course.
show in
It's my
spite of
pleasure
your
and a
hectic
privilege.
schedule.
Thank
And
you.
I'm quite inspired by your talk today. Now I feel like I'm not doing enough.
No, absolutely. Very inspiring. No, I completely
Thank
agree.
you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Divya.